Good morning, Tides fans, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with Rags here in Season 4, Episode 8. And today, here we are joined by Tides employee Heather McKeating. Heather, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Hey, so let's start out there at the beginning. I mean, growing up here, were you involved in sports?
I was. As a child, my whole family played t-ball, little league. I mean, that's the
Right.
only thing that was offered when I was little. And then when we got to high school, I actually played four sports in high school. I played field hockey, soccer, swimming, and track at Lake Taylor. So I'm a local girl,
Right.
born and
Yeah.
raised.
Right. Yes. And hey, my wife Elizabeth, she's a Titan
Yes,
alum. So we
yes.
got some Lake Taylor here in my family also. But with with your job outside of once you graduated college, like when you were in college, did you work with the athletic department there in college?
So I have a weird college path. So I'm the first of four. So I'm the first to go to college in my family. And I went to Radford University for 2 years. Was not my best 2 years, but I love being at Radford. So I actually got to do some sports stuff there. I wrote for the men's basketball team and the men's tennis team when I was at Radford. And
Okay.
kind of being the first one, I don't think I had the best study habits. And so ended up coming home and I finished at Old Dominion where I did sports management there. I kind of found my love. I started the Tides when I was 16.
Right.
And truly didn't know it was a career. I didn't know it was something we could do in the future. And when I left Radford, my parents were like, "Oh, you need to find a job or go back to school." And I'm like, school was a bit tough. And so fortunately, they hired me here full time in 1998 as the receptionist. And I even more fell in love with the sports industry. I'm like, oh man, this is great. If I can do this for a living, how great would this be? And so I
Right.
discovered that Old Dominion had a sports management program. So I went to TCC, got my grades up, and then transferred to Old Dominion. And I graduated with honors, found my passion, found my love,
Right.
and the whole time worked full time at the Norfolk Tide. So I've been, yeah, it's been a long run.
Right. Yeah. So here with here you mentioned that you started working at the Tides there in high school. So what there at 16, kind of like a summer job
Mhm.
here with starting off there with the Tides.
Yeah, so I just was an usher. My dad brought me to a day game the last week of school. It was half day school, so our friends had season tickets. And
Right.
our neighbor was a security officer here. And I'm like, oh man, this would be a fun summer job. He's like, oh, well, we're hiring. And he brought me an application. I actually just found my application the other day from 1994. And it's so sad. And just, I worked 4 summers, just as a summer gig. It was perfect when I come home from college or in high school. They worked around my sports schedule as well. And then, like I said, when I had a tough struggle at Radford, they hired me on full time. And I only did receptionist 1 year, did group sales a couple of years, and then I found my true passion in community relations and have done that for 19 years, which is one of my favorite things because the impact we get to make on the community.
Right, right. So let's see. So with working there, high school summers, and then being hired on full time, then you went somewhere else, and then you came back here. What a few years back?
Yeah, I did. So in 2018, my son was going into middle school, and these are long hours. We work 60, 70 hours in the summertime. And like we talked about, he's a baseball player. And that summer was his Cooperstown summer. And I'm the only one in my department. So we never know how much time we get off in the summer. And it's just something I didn't want to miss. And,
Right.
Baseball is a huge part of my family's life, along with my professional life. I didn't want to take that chance. And so I left, went to a great company, stayed in sports, worked for a running company. And then, of course, the dreadful COVID hit and they let me go. And rightfully so, there was no races. What am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. And so I, unfortunately, first time since I was 16, didn't have a job. The weirdest time, no email to check, no one to worry about, which was kind of good because I was home with my son when he's trying to learn from home. And it was a little bit of a struggle on that end as well. And then went to the field house, which is an indoor athletic complex. They still sports, still running youth programming, was their development director. And it wasn't my favorite thing. I think I always missed the Tides. I think this was always home for me. And just happened to be at a game in 21. My husband, son, and I were sitting in the stands, and my friend's like, oh, don't you want to come back? I was like, are you joking? Are you serious? Because I am missing every ounce of it. I missed the pace. I missed the fans. I missed all of it. And it took us about 8 weeks to kind of figure out what that looked like. Their season went longer because they started later because of COVID in 21.
Right. Right.
And I think my son probably asked me 40 times when I was going back because he missed it. I think he thinks everyone has this life that they can go hang out at the ballpark every day and be around the athletes. And so we worked it out. They asked if I would come back and run the community relations and the merchandise department. So something I'd never done, which was kind of exciting for me to do a whole, you can teach an old dog new tricks, and um, getting to be a little bit more using my creative skills and still do the community stuff. So yeah, I've been back. This will be my 28th season at Harbor Park, starting in a couple weeks because opening day is, I
Right
think on
around
my
the corner.
calendar, it tells me it's 38 days away.
Right.
No panic here, but yeah, so I came back and it's just, this, no pun intended, this will always be home for me.
Yeah, and another thing, I mean, I know that with living in the local area and working at Harbor Park High School summers, and then also there in the late '90s full time. But what a time to come back and work with the Tides there in 21. I mean, the Orioles minor league system has just taken off about that time.
Oh man, I mean, listen, I've been around a lot of teams in this organization between the Mets and the Orioles, and
Right.
it's the last 4 years. Holy cow. I mean, the Orioles have just really finally built a system of just finally minor league system. They don't sell them off, they don't pawn them off. And gosh, I mean, next year's just this season's gonna be just as good. Where do these guys go that were in Norfolk? I mean, the Orioles are so stacked, and I mean, I am hoping for a repeat year. That would be pretty
Right.
epic, but they're finally building. I think the Orioles are finally in a predicament to keep these guys, and I think see their successes through, which is going to be really fun. In the big leagues for sure. I think we're very close to a World Series in the
Right.
next year or two. I think it's so close. I feel like we could just touch it almost.
Yeah, well, I was telling Elizabeth there last year. I mean, the military is what brought my family here to the Tidewater area here in '87, and remember going to Met Park,
Hmm.
and yes, the Mets had some good minor league teams, but what I was telling Elizabeth there about last year's season is ever since the team moved to Harbor Park. I mean, yes, they would get in the playoffs, but what a run last year was. What was the best team in Tide's history
Yeah.
in what, over
Yeah.
30 years?
Yeah, a long time, and it just kept, this year was almost picturesque. We kept winning more awards, and I don't know, they didn't stop all the way into December. We ended up winning minor league team of the year, which I listen. We haven't had that my whole time I was here, so it's so like I've ridden this coattail as far as I can. I actually, for Christmas, my family made a whole protect the harbor and tickets and everything, just because
Oh,
it was something I just, you can't take it for granted. You never know when you'll see it again. And
right.
I for sure enjoyed every moment of the season of 23. And I think it's going to be look just the same in 24 because again, like I said, I don't know where these guys go. I mean, they're stacked. When you have Gunner, Adley, all these, we've got a stud catcher supposed to be in Norfolk this year from Double A. I mean, it's thick here. It's so deep.
Right, right, and the thing is, even last year around the trade deadline, I mean, the Tides were able to stay together. It wasn't like that the Orioles were selling off their prospects, and then to have Matt Holliday's son, the 19-year-old Jackson Holiday, just make his way through the minor league system and finish up with the Tides last year.
Oh yeah, I mean it's epic. You don't, I've done this game a long time, and it's very rare you see something of the likings of that to see them move so quickly through the minor leagues. And I mean, he's got it. Like it's, I think we'll see him a little bit at the beginning of this year, unless something crazy happens in spring, which I kind of hope our fans get to see him a little bit longer. It's almost the same thing as Gunner. He was here for a little while and then got called up, but I truly hope we get to see him a little bit longer because he is sure fun to watch.
Right. And the thing is, I mean, in the early '80s, I lived in New York, so I didn't want to root for the Yankees like my dad and my brother, so I started, following the Mets, but with the Tides and the Orioles relationship, I mean, to hop in the car and drive 4 hours north once
Yeah.
a Tide gets promoted and see them play at Kindred Yards. I mean, it seems like that the relationship between the Tides and the Orioles are definitely a great match.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that's changed. I mean, I grew up a Mets fan. My mom's a New Yorker, so we kind of followed the Mets as children, and just happened that they were the affiliate here. But there's something different about the Orioles to be able to, you know, even my son, who is not an Orioles fan, likes to watch it now. Now he knows he can see them here and then see them in Baltimore, and it is a car
Right.
ride away. It isn't so untangible for us to be able to be true fans of them, and that's kind of unique because we haven't really had that in this market. Because, as you know, like you just said, you're military, and our team is unique in the aspect that we have so many different fans at the ballpark. They're not necessarily Tides fans. They grew up in Boston, so they come and see Pawtucket or Worcester. They're
Right.
Yankees fans. They'll come see Scranton play. It varies, and in the last 2 years, because the Orioles are starting to do good, we've seen quite the flip of people really supporting the Orioles. I see way more Orioles stuff than I have in a long time, and I think that, like you said, they're buying into that proximity of location to us. It's just a I don't know. It's been a perfect fit, and I think now as a matter of the year I was pregnant is when we switched over to the Orioles. So 16
Okay.
years we've been with them, and I just think it's now we're finally seeing the exciting years and watching all the growth.
Yeah, yes, and the thing is I know that AAA, International League, Pacific Coast League. I mean, they've gotten to be so big because three leagues, turned into two leagues. But what last year with the playoff format, there was a International League, a championship series, or an International League
Mhm.
playoff format, Pacific Coast League playoff format. And then the two champions played in the neutral site, right?
Yeah, so this is the first year in all the years I've been in baseball that it's changed. So it's almost always when we were the in the International League, there was three divisions, and so it would be three winners and a wild card. And
Right.
so at the end of the season, and you might not know that until September 23rd at the end of the season if you won the division. Well,
Right.
this is the first year we did a first half winner and a second half winner. So the first half winner got to host all three home games in your league. And then the second half would play us. Now, if by some crazy chance we won both, it would have been the second best record for the
Right.
second half. And then moving forward, so you play a 3 game series, which we were fortunate enough to win the first half in 2023, which allows all this extra promotion. Like we got to go around town. I mean, we had the best crowds we've ever had in playoff
Right.
history. I mean, we were averaging 8 to 9,000 a night. And by the way, if you were here, it was the most miserable weather in 3 days, and no one was leaving. Rags, they were all here and they were in it. And so for me, I think that renewed my faith in that people really are here for the product on the field. And then we get to go to Vegas for a 1 game championship series against the PCL, which happened to be the Oklahoma City Dodgers this year. And I think everyone's like, why is it only 1 game? Why? I mean, the expense of going out there, it is a lot. And truly, does anybody, I mean, we care because we won, but I
Right.
mean, it's 1 game. It just is a showcase of what's to come in the big leagues in a year and a half, depending on how quick these players develop. But I think it was just one of the, we got to go to Vegas. They took our whole staff out. And
Nice.
I think I'm still living in that high. I mean, every time I tell the story, I get super cheesy, gritty, and
Right.
how fun it was for us to go out there and be fans. Here we work every day, and not that we don't mind it, but we don't get to see the game the whole time. And out there, we got to sit and have a couple of beers in the stands and watch the game.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, I mean, going out to Las Vegas, I mean, yes, you guys got to uh got to enjoy the game while the Tides are hosting.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody's busy working and making sure that the fans have a great experience.
Yeah, exactly. We love the product on the field, but our end goal is making sure that you and everybody walking through the gate either wants to come back again, wants to be a part of it, is buying merch, is buying food, buying extra tickets. And so that ends up becoming our job that we sometimes forget. I mean, sometimes I go home and I don't actually even know who won or lost because and 23 was a record year for us. I mean, we had a tremendous year. Attendance was incredibly up, concessions, our merch was up, everything was up. So you can tell, I think even after COVID, we've seen just a big uptick in people forgetting the things that we took for granted. And entertainment, ballparks, those things have, we've skyrocketed.
Right. And the thing is Elizabeth and I, we came to one Wednesday night game, and one of Elizabeth's friends, called, and now they were running late, but they were talking about how people were just, parking anywhere and everywhere. just because, just the success of last season. I mean, even on a Wednesday night, you
Yep.
know, the crowds were great. And if you didn't get there early, who knows where you would I mean, we had to take somebody down to one of the garages in downtown Norfolk, and they
Yeah.
Ubered to
Yeah.
Harbor Park.
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. I mean, that's the thing. Like, we have had some construction here with the light rail and the Amtrak and, eventually the casino. And so that hurts us a teeny bit, but people are figuring it out. Like, we've partnered with HRT last year on firework nights to offer free rides on the tide and giving people out means to get to the ballpark and not just your traditional driving into the ballpark. But I mean, it's a great problem to have. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. It does give us a little stress on our GM and our AGMs in the parking lot, physically parking people to make sure we can get people in here as efficiently as possible, because that's our goal. Like, what good do they do sitting in the parking lot? So we
Right. Yes. Yeah. And I All right, Heather. So as we were talking with parking, I know that with Portsmouth, Suffolk, people that live in Western Branch, they can definitely, ride the ferry
Mhm.
there from downtown Portsmouth over to Harbor Park. So parking seems to be a lot of people's issue, but it's a good thing to have with attendance being on the rise.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, and you're right. Using the ferries, there are plenty of options. We just, you know, educating our fans on that. They sometimes don't know. Which we, at the end of the season, we did some little fun PSAs on our Facebook page. I know I did one about the playoff games, like using either EVMC, the ferry, and Newtown for your ride the tide, your ferry. Just giving alternate options so that you're not stuck in your car. And the ferry literally drops you off right on the first
Right.
base side, which is super nice. I think it's 15 to 20 minutes after the game. It'll keep running. Same with the light rails, usually an hour after the game. So if you're mindful and you don't want to sit in the car, there are options for our fans, but we want to make it easy for them because we don't want that to be the first stress when they come into the ballpark, Rags. We don't want them thinking about the parking and that kind of
Right.
situation. So we want them to come in smiling and ready to watch some baseball.
Yeah, and it seems like that a few years back there would be opening day would be a big crowd, the turn back the clock night, and then the
Hmm.
periodic fireworks nights, and then definitely the last home game, uh the last home stand
Yep.
of the year with fan appreciation. But now it seems like, and it's a good thing to do to get the average fan to come to Harbor Park. Now every homestand there's some type of promotion, and then the weekend homestand always with fireworks.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've created a schedule that is something for everyone. We have 4 or 5 bark in the parks now, right? 'Cause people love to bring their dogs to the ballpark. I mean, that's a whole nother market. We weren't even scratching the surface 3 or 4 years ago, and now it's some of our busiest and biggest nights. I mean, we've got Norfolk Olympia. We've done some cultural things here that honor our community. The Norfolk Squeezers with the Orange Crush. Our military nights have been extremely well attended. And to be honest, I found last year our Sundays were insane. I think families were liking to come out to Sunday games at the ballpark. Father's Day was a huge hit last year. I mean, these are just, trying to find all the things for fans. I can't think that what you like and I like are two different things, but if I can find something that draws you to the ballpark, I mean, we've had people from The Office here, huge hit. Like
Right. Yeah. The
it
show.
just it's just finding ways to interact with our fans differently, and we've come up with different ideas. Everything isn't going to work. We're not perfect, but if we don't try it, then what are we doing? We're staying in the same stale mode, but that's not who we are.
Yeah, and then also with the annual Christmas parade, you guys coming off of the championship season, definitely marching there in the parade, and then the decoration there on the light rail. It's a great thing to have there for the tides.
Oh my gosh. I told you I'm a Norfolk girl. I've been going to that parade my whole life and even marched in it when I was in high school with ROTC. And to be the, lead, it was probably a highlight. I think my jaw hurt for 2 days from smiling and waving. And my family got to go. So my husband and son got to walk in it with us. And we had our hitting coach here with his family. And it was just, I'm still in awe. And then we see the train going by in front of the ballpark every day, fully decorated. It still doesn't get old to me. I think I just, winning makes everything better. We know that, but I've waited for this a long time, and it's just, it's still really, really, really cool.
Yes, and working in the front office, similar to the team on the field. I mean, now it's time to turn the page. So what's 24 looking like there at Harbor Park this coming year?
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. We're definitely gearing up for 24. We're only seeing bigger and better things. And we've got a couple new theme nights that'll get announced in April that we're super excited about. Opening night, we always are excited to honor our public safety. Ever since 9/11, we honor public safety on opening night and give away a ton of free tickets to our fire and police and sheriffs in the community and do a really big ceremony. Something to do, we'll do with the ring ceremony that night. Or banner, something is going to happen. We're just still working out those details. And then everything, I mean, this is the time our promotional schedule will be announced very soon. We'll have our traditional bobbleheads and hat giveaway nights. Our kids club is back. Our Field of Dreams, which is one of my favorite programs, is where little leagues can go out with the baseball players for the national anthem every night. We're getting ready to register all those teams here in the next 2 weeks. So we're full force ahead. I mean, it's like I said, we're 38 days from opening day, and we're opening up a little bit earlier. We normally are first or second week of April. This week we're in March. We're almost following now in line with the major league schedule, Rag, where
Right.
we go a month longer now. Every Monday's an off day. That way, players are playing longer if something happens in the big leagues. Playoffs are coming, so our schedule is almost mirroring Major League Baseball now.
Now with minor league camp being down in Sarasota, do you guys get to go down there for a week or anything with the winter meetings during the off season, or are you guys just continue to just make sure everything goes well here for Harbor Park that is ready for the next season?
Yeah, so I unfortunately, in my 28 years in professional baseball, have never been to spring training.
Oh,
It's the worst time of year for us to get
right.
away. I mean, it kind of stinks. It's a dream. Maybe when I retire, I'm going to get down there and enjoy it. But we definitely participate in the winter meetings and the fall meetings in Major League Baseball, minor league baseball. That's huge for us because it's where we do a lot of networking and work on programming and kind of learn the new systems that other teams are doing that we can implement here in Norfolk. And so it's kind of cool to still be able to do that. We send 4 or 5 staff members to the fall meetings, and then our GM goes to the winter meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're definitely full participatory, but the unfortunate part is taking time off here in the next few
Right.
weeks is becomes really difficult because we're a very small staff here in Norfolk,
Right.
probably one of the smaller staffs in minor league baseball. And so we work really hard in getting everything ready. But yeah, it's insane. The next 6 weeks are going to fly by, and every day is different here in the ballpark. We're painting. If I know people have come by and wondering what's going on, everything that was blue in the stadium is getting painted forest green. It's absolutely gorgeous. The wall padding has changed. We've had some construction with the seawall in the parking lot, which has allowed some difficulty for fans getting in here, but everything's going to be ready here as soon as March 29th gets here.
Nice. Well, Heather, I appreciate your time, and fans just continue to go to the Tides website or the
Yep.
Tides social media. They're on Facebook and Twitter, and I'm sure there's a IG page for the
There is.
Tides.
We're on everything. You can find us somewhere. Some age group can find us because we have to be more. We got TikTok. We've got it all. So
Right.
we definitely are mindful of that.
Yes. Well, hey, I know it will be exciting come the end of March. Not only with opening day, but to also recognize the team's accomplishments from last year, and definitely be nice to see. And fans, if you've never been to Harbor Park, go on out there, and
Yes.
definitely a great time here for no matter if you're the average fan or a diehard fan.
I agree 100%. Come see us, and definitely NorfolkTides.com can give them all that information too, Rags. It's got our schedule, our promotional schedule will be posted soon. So stay tuned. Lots of fun things for 24.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for your time, and with just being 30 plus days away, I know that your plate's full. So thanks for coming on and sharing your story and talking about the Tides.
Anytime. Have a great day, guys. See you in the ballpark.
All right. See ya. Thanks again, Heather.
Yep.